The madness has absolutely been around in the first weekend of the NCAA tournament. We also had some NFL bombs that were dropped on us, got some other lines. This is episode 195 of The Next Best Bet. I'm Jake Higgins with Brett Levy as always. Last episode, Brett, one of my three futures that I did place to potentially win the big dance, they already lost. Iowa getting upset in the opening round. Talked a big game about them too. You said maybe I get a chance to hedge them down the line, but your Richmond pick plus 10.5, you could have taken them on the money line.
Yeah, I could have. And Higgins, you do this to me all the time. I now notice my Richmond pick in red, Higgins. That was a green pick. My guy's shorting me yet again. Oh boy.
It's green in our tables, though. Don't worry. I got the overall record right. You're still kicking my ass with that. Don't worry.
You
You're up
snuck that
11
one
units on the
by
year.
me.
I'm still down.
You snuck that one by me. No. Yeah, that was a good game, Higgins. And look, I back seniors. There's a reason these players come back, Higgins. It's for this moment. And it's not... Look, if Iowa plays Richmond 10 times, probably beat them 8 times, right? But you only get one shot here, Higgins. Yeah. Only one shot. So, yeah, some exciting games, Higgins. I took some losses as well. Don't you worry. USC gets, I guess it's a slight upset in a 7-10 game by Miami. Very close. They climb all the way back in that one, actually, and then fall short at the very, very end. Yale gets blown out by Purdue, so that wasn't a great pick either.
But you hit your Levy lock, and I didn't hit my pick of the pod again. I'm woefully bad on that to start the year. 1-9. That's probably the fade of the year right now. I'm 1 for 9 on my pick of the pods.
Fade of the year. I like it. We'll call it that instead of the pick of the pod. And look, Higgins, you're just gonna keep those honors because I only win when I go second. So I like you going first.
Fair enough. Let's move into some Beginners Boulevard. Talk about hedging, and you can have some hedge opportunities with March Madness. Absolutely. I mean, that's when you bet the other side of a wager you've already taken to guarantee you have a winning ticket. Now, that's if you take one team at minus 5.5, that means you take the other team at exactly plus 5.5. That's not. It's different than middling. Hedging is exact. And Brett, if your bracket's still alive, this isn't quite hedging, but you can bet against your overall champion you may have in your bracket pool if it's a big money pool and start to slightly fade them in their head-to-head matchups potentially.
Yeah, I guess some people do that. Like, Higgins, one way that I like to hedge that's not really like hedging, but it's an emotional hedge, Higgins, is just always bet against your favorite teams. And then if they win, you're like, at least my team won.
Yeah, I just try to take my heart out of the games that I have fanmanship in.
Yeah, no, honestly, just fade the Jets every time the New York Jets play. And, if my team magically wins, so be it.
Well, that's just a good betting strategy anyways, to fade the Jets.
Yeah, not a terrible strategy either.
Let's talk about March Madness right now, Brett. Our bracket pool that we have set up for the next best bet. You and I were up close to the top, but your Kentucky team that you picked, they got upset by probably the talk of the tournament right now, St. Peter's, a small school in your state, New Jersey right now. And Brett, I heard a cool fact about this team. The last time New Jersey had a team in the Sweet 16 was Seton Hall in 2000. Their starting point guard is the head coach of St. Peter's now. So kind of full circle.
Yeah, Shaheen Holloway. I imagine with the news of Kevin Willard going to Maryland, Shaheen Holloway will probably be back at Seton Hall next year, Higgins. He was an assistant there previously as well. So, look, New Jersey basketball is thrilled for Shaheen Holloway in St. Peter's right now. It's one of the toughest jobs in the just in college basketball with how little of a budget they have compared to other schools in their conference, let alone across America. So, yeah, very excited for St. Peter's, and Jersey City is rocking, Higgins.
Now, St. Peter's story is amazing. I did think of this one thing about their win over Murray State, though, because Murray State, a team that had a phenomenal year, over 30 wins, had just 2 losses coming into that game, hadn't lost since December, and a team that was probably expecting to still lose in the second weekend, but lose to Kentucky, who, like you had in your bracket, was a legitimate title contender, a much more reputable loss looking back at it on the season's end. Murray State losing in the first weekend still and having it beat a St. Peter's has to hurt a little bit more to be the ending of their season, I would feel.
Yeah, well, Higgins, I was just really biting my nails over that first round matchup between
Mm-hmm.
Kentucky and St. Peter's. I just decided whoever won that game was probably winning the national championship, and I just got that game wrong,
That's what you spent all of your time looking
Yeah,
at, and unfortunately,
really,
you
my
just had the
whole
wrong side.
bracket came down to that game.
It's unfortunate. Well, but
Yeah,
St. Peter's,
unfortunate.
a
Yeah.
very interesting spot because now they're coming back to Philadelphia to play too in the Sweet 16. Little closer to home. Who knows if they'll actually have a crowd? In Indianapolis, they didn't have much of a crowd, but they did gain a lot of neutral fans absolutely towards the end of those games.
Yeah, that's what happens in during the tournament is look, if this game's close, the fans that are there for the other game will get into it, Higgins. They will start pulling for St. Peter's. And look, I think anything is possible in single elimination tournaments, Higgins. That's the fun of March Madness here. Um, but I don't think we've ever seen a 15 seed advance past the Sweet 16. So
Nope, they've all
I
lost.
would have to assume their magic ends here. But it was a great weekend for the St. Peter's Peacocks. Obviously, the story of the weekend, no doubt about it. Lots of big upsets, though. We saw Tennessee go down. Um, we
Great
saw
video of Juwan Howard hugging out that player, the Tennessee Volunteer that was the freshman that played. What's his name? Do you
Kennedy
know?
Chandler, yeah.
Yes.
Yep, and
Chandler played a great game too tonight.
yeah, definitely. Really, really good player, 5-star recruit. So, probably gone. That was his one tournament. And,
Mm-hmm.
look, Baylor went down Higgins as a 1 seed this weekend as well. So, we're seeing lots of top seeds go down. We saw 1, we saw 2, we saw 3. So, there's some games going on as we're recording this. Texas is playing. Purdue's playing as well. So Higgins, who knows if all the upsets are done by the end of this podcast.
Well, as we record this right now, Miami's up by 9 with plenty to play in the second half against Auburn, though, but who knows where that goes. We're going to get into some March Madness talk a little bit later. We have some picks to give out. But, Brett, there was some other madness that came out since the last episode, and that was some more NFL moves. And obviously, we have to talk about the Deshaun Watson trade that is apparently sending him to Cleveland. He's signing this big guaranteed deal. It shakes up the Super Bowl odds. Browns moved from plus 4,000 before this trade to now being plus 1,600. Brett, frankly, I can't go anywhere near that right now, though, because I can't. I don't know if Watson's playing still. He didn't play all last year because of all this stuff. Even without his criminal charges being actually pursued by that grand jury, he instead still does have all of these civil cases from 22 women. So who knows when he does get back on the field? I don't see how that moves the needle so quickly. There's still a lot of questions surrounding this man.
Yeah, Higgins. Well, I guess part of it is the addition of Amari Cooper as well, maybe. So,
Big move.
yeah, and some people are speculating now that Landry could come back after all this. We'll see what happens. I'm not ready to buy in on the Cleveland Browns or
There's
anything.
still a lot of questions for that big of a jump in the odds to me. I think it's a big hype jump. I don't see the value in it at this moment. It'll still come back down after this, I think.
I'll tell you what I'm more interested in Higgins is the other note that you have down here.
Well, the AFC
Because,
West's been wild.
yes, the AFC West has been very wild, but I mean, I don't know if the Josh McDaniels hire is a boost in Josh Jacobs' value per se, but I feel like you got to feel good about Darren Waller. You have to feel good about Hunter Renfrow. And Derek Carr's favorite teammate from college, his best friend from college, is now his NFL teammate, making not quite Aaron Rodgers money, but like top of his position money
Absolutely.
for the wide receiver. So Devontae Adams going to the Raiders, Higgins, Chandler Jones going to the Raiders to play across from Max Crosby. That's a dangerous pass rush. Chan Jones obviously battling some injuries as of late, though, Higgins.
Hmm.
So hopefully he can stay healthy. But personal favorite for me is we overlapped at Syracuse, Higgins. I was there for the Chan Jones
I was a
era.
freshman there
The
too.
Pinstripe Bowl win, Higgins. I was a student, so big time Chan Jones fan. Hope it works out well in Oakland or Las Vegas, excuse me. And yeah, I think you're right. I mean, look at what the Chargers are doing, Higgins. Look at what the Chiefs are doing. So the Broncos obviously adding Russell Wilson as well. I mean, it is going to be a massacre out there in the AFC West.
This past season, it was the NFC West that was the toughest division in football. I think the AFC West quickly just leapfrogged them to be the favorites to be the toughest division this upcoming season, but we still have a lot of free agency and trade time. We've had a lot of big trades this year. Who knows what else is going to happen this year? But like I was saying, I'm surprised how high the Browns Super Bowl odds jumped so quickly with that trade news. The Raiders didn't jump, but that's admittedly to how tough that division's going to be, and the Raiders are still at the bottom in even the AFC West division odds.
Yeah, I think I don't know. Maybe I have them ahead of the Broncos. It's like hard to say, right? Von Miller going to the Bills, not going back to Denver, like he was hinting at on Instagram prior.
And with how stacked this entire division, it's going to come down to health for every team. Whoever's healthiest might just come out on top.
You know what, Higgins? That's the truth, right? Like, so we could sit here before the NFL draft, before free agency's even done, and speculate. I like the Devontae Adams move for Vegas.
I do too.
I just think, that's like you pair those guys up. I'm not the biggest Carr believer per se, but
Mm-hmm.
that's the guy your quarterback wants, and you go and get him. Like you got to feel good about that relationship, and obviously he has a relationship with Hunter Renfrow and Waller. You're bringing in an offensive-minded coach. It just feels like good vibes coming out of Vegas right now.
Absolutely, and hopefully it stays good vibes because last season there was a lot of heartbreak, a lot of misery, and a lot of bad news and energy going over that team. Let's finally jump into some picks, though, Brett. Most of our picks aren't going to be actually in the college basketball that everyone's been paying attention to. You and I are looking at the NBA slate pretty heavily.
Yeah, well, Higgins, we'll hopefully have another episode before Thursday, so we'll be able to talk about college basketball, get everyone set for the weekend then. But yeah, I think NBA Monday night, there's some good opportunity for some people to go back to the pros. And Higgins, I have a 14-point home dog. Look, I think Boston is going to go into Oklahoma City and they're going to win the game. But I think it's very possible this game, could be a 5-point game late in the fourth quarter. Boston closes it out, pushes it to 10. And Higgins, I'm getting 14 points here in New Jersey right now. So I am hopping on that literally at 9 o'clock Sunday night while the NCAA tournament's going on. I imagine it gets bet down a little bit. Boston's playing fantastic basketball, Higgins. I'm not ever suggesting take OKC on the money line here, but 14 points on the road is way too many to lay in the NBA, I think.
Yeah, the Thunder are also the second best team in the NBA against the spread. Boston, they've been about 50-50 all year long, and I think that's because there's a lot more fans of Boston, a lot more people that want to bet on them, watch them routinely. They're on a lot more primetime games and stuff like that. So I think you're going to get value in a team like OKC, a young team that's building that could show up and play competitive against a Boston team, especially when you're hosting them in the Midwest.
Yeah, I just like that they're 14-point home dogs. That's a solid six possession game here, Higgins. So feeling good about that. And look, I think another game no one wants to watch, but you can make some money on here, Higgins. Blazers at Pistons. Pistons have been fantastic against the spread the second half of the year. Portland, obviously huge sellers at the deadline. So I like Detroit in this spot to cover the 7 at home against Portland as they continue to build towards the future. Higgins, find rotation pieces, find who's going to be in their starting lineup, find players that they can develop. Detroit's, they're not really playing for much, but their young guys are playing for future playing time, future contract situations. So Detroit's going to come out fired up tomorrow night, I think, at home. And, want to lay a beat down on a bad team. Prove that they're an improving team.
Yeah, they're 8-2 against the spread in their past 10 games, and you don't have to. I mean, they are favored here, but you don't have to win a lot, and Detroit hasn't won a lot. So if they're gonna be favored in this, I would question if Damian Lillard's even gonna be around, if there's gonna be any stars of Portland that are gonna be around. So it's just gonna be a game of, like what you said, guys fighting to stay on rosters, fighting to get some contracts. I agree with that. There's a game that's gonna get a little more attention. I mean, it's the Lakers, LeBron. Cleveland, a team on the East that has some playoff opportunities, and Cleveland been fantastic against the spread so far this season. They're -6.5 right now, so I'm staying away at the moment. I hope I can find it at a book down around 6, maybe 5.5. But what I am going to take at the moment is the over, because both of these teams, like I said, they're playing playoff basketball. They're fighting for one of those last seeds in the expanded playoffs. Cleveland's currently sitting in sixth, trying to stay above that 7, 8, 9, 10 spot. So each of these guys playing a lot for a lot. I think over 223.5 is absolutely feasible.
Yeah, I actually am very interested in that game, Higgins. LeBron James just became the second all-time scorer in
Mm-hmm.
NBA history. Although I think if you combine playoffs, he's already number one.
Yep. Yeah, he is.
So, obviously, incredible career achievement for LeBron. Some were speculating he might even rest going into the Cleveland game. Obviously, he played prior, so the record will not be broken in Cleveland. But I think he gets a nice cheer, Higgins. That's what I'm really into. Like, I think, you get a tribute for that, and you get a nice cheer. And I think that's going to be a special moment for LeBron. And look, I think Cleveland's the better team, no doubt. But LeBron in Cleveland, anything's possible,
That's
Higgins.
also what's keeping me off of it for right now in terms of the spread. I like the over, but we've seen what LeBron's done. He had a game that stretch where he had 3 different 50-point games. I mean, he has been playing really strong this year when he is on the court. So if he gets his full minutes, I wouldn't be surprised being back in Cleveland that he puts on a show.
Yeah, no, he's been incredible for sure. I guess Higgins, if I had a lean in a game that people might give a crap about instead of the Blazers Pistons game, I would definitely look at Minnesota getting some points
Mm-hmm.
at Dallas. Minnesota's been fantastic the second half of the year as well. So yeah, that would be a spot I'd be interested in.
Absolutely. I do want to talk about some college basketball real quick, Brett, because we have a few games out. We have four of the games decided so far as we started recording this. I did like one of the lines I already saw, so I'm gonna snipe it. Nova minus 4.5. This is a spot that I could fade my Nova pick in my bracket, but instead, I think Michigan, they played very well, but let's remember they have underperformed on this season. So I think we're going to see them exit in the Sweet 16. We've seen a lot of these double digit teams play very well in the first weekend, but I think as we get along, we're going to see these one seeds, two seeds that are still remaining push forward and probably get to the Final Fours.
Yeah, Higgins. I mean, I uh, I do not hate that pick that you gave at all.
And it's minus four and a half. I could
Yeah,
see it growing by Thursday.
yeah. I think Nova is a great team. Beat Ohio State by 10 today, so I could absolutely see that happening. I guess the most interesting thing happening live while we're recording Higgins is Auburn's down 10.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we'll say medium into the second half, with about 8 minutes remaining in the second half. I wouldn't call it late yet. It's
Still a
medium.
good amount of time, but Miami's kind of kept that lead those past 10 minutes, so it's interesting to watch. We already got Arkansas and Gonzaga facing off on Thursday for a Sweet 16 matchup. There's Michigan, Villanova. Duke's going to be playing on Thursday as well, but on Friday, Providence, Kansas should be an interesting matchup, I think. Providence got to play Richmond in that second round, so who knows how they're going to be able to do against Kansas. North Carolina, big upset against Baylor. They're facing off against UCLA on Friday. St. Peter's, we're still waiting to find out who they're going to face.
It doesn't matter. No one wants to face St. Peter's. They're the darling right now, Higgins. They're hot. They believe in themselves right now. They're feeling good, and they are playing close to home. So, look, I think no matter who they play, the other school is going to have probably a larger alumni base. St. Peter's is about, I don't know, 2, 3 blocks total in Jersey City.
2,600 total students. Very
Yeah,
small.
unbelievable. So, yeah, it's going to be an exciting week for them here. But like we discussed earlier, this is probably, unfortunately, where the Cinderella story ends, right? We have not seen a 15 seed advance past the Sweet 16. So, from a betting perspective, I think that is something of note.
I'll be interested to see what that line is on depending on who they play and what the public juice could do to that 15 darling that everyone's rooting for right now is St. Peter's. But it's an interesting one. We also have Arizona TCU that hasn't even started yet as you and I record. It's about to tip off as soon as as soon as Miami Auburn I think is about to, or no, I think it's at its own site. Sorry. Yeah, it's about to tip off here in a second, and we still got a few more Sweet 16 tickets to be punched.
Yep, a few more tickets to be punched, Higgins. So we look forward to continuing to update and give out some bets on the NCAA tournament Wednesday.
And let's jump into a quick NHL pick, real quick. Monday night, the Vegas Golden Knights, they're facing off against the Minnesota Wild. Taking a look at how these teams have done against the spread so far this season, the Vegas Golden Knights, they're the third worst in the NHL against the puck line. 27-37 on the year, 14-16 on the road. Minnesota, though, they're 15-12 at home. Not much better overall against the puck line, but I'm going to take Minnesota minus 1.5 at plus 155 because this is a game that both of these teams need. This is a game that the Golden Knights have beaten the Wild twice so far this season. I don't think they get it done 3 times in the regular season. I think the Wild here at home are going to play strong, and I'm hoping for an empty netter. That's why it's at plus 155.
All right, fair enough, Higgins. I'd be lying if I've said I've watched any hockey since March Madness has kicked off. Like, someone texted me, like, huge back-to-back wins today. and I like was like Knicks. Rain like what?
Who? Who?
I
Yeah, I
was
need
like
more of a description.
Rangers, Islander. Like what happened here? And I was just kind of I'm like I have watched nothing but college basketball for the last I don't know what's 4 days worth of out. Like I have watched literally a gross amount
Lots,
of college basketball.
lots of basketball, lots of enjoyment over here on this end as well. Brett, we did have some MLB news that we kind of glossed over. I mean, the Chris Bryant to the Colorado Rockies, we never talked about, and it felt weird. But now, Story signing just as big of a contract with the Red Sox is just as surprising to me.
Yeah, I feel bad for Rockies fans that like they didn't just pay their guys that they had and they had to
Hmm.
go through this. Are they gonna trade them? But look, Colorado adds a big bat to their lineup. They will, in my opinion, Higgins probably trade Chris Bryant at some point and acquire.
Lose out on money just like Nolan Arenado.
No, but just acquires a lot of prospects. Help rebuild maybe their farm system. I don't know what the. I'd be lying to you if I was like, oh, I know exactly what the
Yeah.
Colorado farm system looks like. But I know they have an outfielder they're excited about coming up. But outside of that, you haven't heard much about them. And you know, Chris Bryant probably knows he's getting traded from Colorado in a year or two, and he'll take the money for now. Trevor Story's an interesting one because he was not dead set on playing shortstop. He said he'd move to play for a contender. I would consider the Red Sox a contender after last season, although we'll see what their pitching staff does this season. Last year, some might say they overachieved Higgins. So we'll have to keep our eye on that. But Bogarts can opt out at the end of the year. And there's the possibility from Story's perspective that he could be, the future shortstop of the Red Sox. We'll see. I don't think you let a two-time World Series champion with a glove
Yeah.
like his, with a bat like his, just walk out of Fenway. But you never know.
And then the other shortstop signed with the Twins, Carlos Correa. So he's distancing himself from the Astros. We'll see if he ends up getting booed still this year for all that he said with the Astros controversy and how beloved Rob Manfred is for his recent decisions in the MLB. But we also saw some big signings. I mean, Nick Castellanos to the Phillies, and something that I think went a little under the radar, Brett, because I mean the Dodgers nabbed Freddie Freeman, stole him away from Atlanta after Atlanta traded for Matt Olson. Atlanta did kind of take a shot at the Dodgers by snagging Kenley Jensen for at least a year, 1 year, $16 million contract, bringing in the arm from the bullpen that the Dodgers relied on a lot, even though he had been frustrating for them at times.
Yeah, I think of the moves you mentioned, Higgins, Castellanos playing in Philadelphia shouldn't be too much of a difference from the small park in
Hmm.
Cincinnati. So I think he'll still put up big numbers playing in their lineup with Harper and Real Muto and Hoskins. I mean, he's going to have a big year. Obviously, he'll have to face Scherzer and DeGrom. Not so great, but that won't be every day, Higgins. So I think that's a great move for the Phillies. I think the Phillies got a lot better this offseason. I think unfortunately for the Braves, they got a little worse, but not too much worse, Higgins. Matt Olson can play. He's a really good first baseman, Higgins. No one thinks he's a bad first baseman. A lot of people had him as the second best first baseman available via trade or free agency. So, it's not like the Braves struck out. It's just a sad feeling when, you let your franchise players go. But
Absolutely.
sometimes, you have to make tough decisions in pro sports.
Absolutely, that is the truth. And Baseball is right around the corner. I actually had someone text me because spring training started on Thursday, the same day as the opening day of March Madness, and I was like, I'm not watching first day of spring training baseball. There's some very important basketball going on right now. But Brett, we're gonna get to that next episode. We have our Levy Lock pick of the pod, or as I said at the top of the episode, pick of the pod's probably the fade of the year right now. I'm 1 for 9 to start. I'm going with over 223.5 for the Lakers Cleveland game, and I said it's because both these teams are playoff teams. They're playing for a lot. I think it's going to be very active. LeBron's been on fire. He could put up a lot of points. Watch it be a defensive battle and it go under. But I'm taking over 223.5. That's my pick of the pod.
I like it, Higgins. We're going over in Lakers, Cavs. And we are taking Detroit -7 at home versus Portland, Higgins. Portland, just not a very good basketball team right now. Detroit covering these numbers like crazy. You mentioned the stat: eight of their last 10 they've covered. So, look, I think you just have to look at the trend, Higgins. You have to look at the teams on the court and be like, this team's playing well, this team is not. And you just have to forget about the fact that one team is the Detroit Pistons.
I absolutely agree with that. I told you I like that pick as well, so we'll see. Hopefully, we both come back as winners. You said you don't want the honors regardless, so I'll be keeping those, I guess.
Yeah, hopefully you stop marking me for losses in my wins, Higgins. Give me the Spiders win. Give it back to me.
All right, you got it. Absolutely. Make sure to follow us on social media at MBBPod on Twitter, at Next Best Bet on Instagram, and the Next Best Bet Facebook page and YouTube channel. This has been episode 195 of the Next Best Bet. For Brett, I'm Jake. We'll talk to you guys again very soon.